Yo, 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 what's going on? Mad late. Like, dang. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So let's go ahead and check out the red folder news. Hold on, let me share my screen. Entire screen. Do this. Oops. First, actually, let's check red folder news. So we did have some red folder news at 12:30 a.m. We have orange folder news coming in at 9, and then much later at 8:30 p.m. and 9. All right, so don't have too much to worry about. Let's check. Tesla did close at 293, almost at 294 yesterday, which is down almost 7%. Today in the pre-market, we're up 1.16%. Let's see if we have any news. Well, this looks interesting. When something isn't working, Elon Musk, what was that? Tesla stock is up. Board needs to act as Trump and Musk bar analyst says. Tesla board must rein in Elon Musk political activities. These stocks are moving. China June car sales rise despite pressure to stabilize prices. Must face a daunting path in challenging U.S. two-party system. From 375 to China. Tesla rise pre-market after Monday. Tesla stock nosedive 7%. Trump says new he's ridiculous. Trump just threatened 10%. Okay, on bricks, equity markets lower. These billionaires top the rich list after rocky first half. All right, so this is interesting. The EV credit is set to expire in September. 25%, huh? So let's see what this says. Anthony Ives over the years, developing. Musk's political gamble on Trump initially appeared to hit the jackpot. Tesla investors had hoped that Musk's return to the wheel would revive the company's fortunes. Mm. Yeah, that may be true, but this here may be true. But the thing is like, um, who's you gonna cancel the contracts when there's no one else to replace them? So That's the thing. Like, third party candidates have a long record of failure in the U.S. independents. Like, inevitably ended up working within the two party structure, while previous high watermarks for outside candidates and did not come close to cracking the system. Yeah, that's crazy. So I don't see anything else of impacting the market. So let's go ahead and jump into today. Whoa, looks like we gapped up in the for QQQ and SPY. Interesting. Okay, so SMH, same. Wow, that's a huge gap up. All right, so coming into today, yesterday we didn't take any trades. I was on live with my mentor. Didn't take any trades. Um, there was a lot of consolidation yesterday. The markets really didn't choose a direction overall. So my mentor decided not to take any trades that day. We were looking for potential setups. A few did almost present themselves, but they never fully formed. And so my mentor decided to call it a day, and I did too. So um, I didn't take any trades yesterday. So, and I was thinking, I was actually feeling that way just before the market opened. I was like, I don't really feel like taking any trades today. I'm not like really feeling like uh, this is gonna be that day. It turned out it really wasn't. I wasn't in a rush or feeling too anxious to jump into any trades anyway. So with that said, coming into today, this is exactly what happened. As I mentioned yesterday, that we started out pretty heavy, opened up and broke towards the downside. We did retest that key level at this pricing zone that I mentioned at 280, 288. We did make our way, push our way back up a little bit, but like I said, we never really broke below the pre-market high, and then we had um, almost came back to this previous zone. This is the zone. All right, so we have like these two highs right here and here, and you can see we came, rejected off this level, bounced off this level as support, rejected off this level again, and then made our way downward. Um, but buyers did hold this level. So you can see we came back and retested several times. We had a touch here, 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 and then we just kind of, like I said, mostly consolidated for the day, not making a new high after this. So everything else was, if you just box it in, we just kind of stayed in this range. Um, I believe there were like some scalping opportunities, but I was just looking for, A plus setup. And like I said, it's very difficult. And this is what I was mentioning, right? It's very difficult to bank or have a bias toward the downside when the overall stock and the higher time frames for that stock shows an upward trend, right? And you can see what happened even with Tesla yesterday. If I were to, I can go back in. Not sure what's going on. Why won't it? It's broken. Did I? Let me restart it. Maybe. Oh, there it is. Okay, so if we take a look at this, right? Let me check to make sure per 5 seconds. Okay, that's fine. So if we take a look at how this played out, right? This is what was crazy. So as the play was developing, um, we had like, you see, so we did, um, it, so basically you're waiting right at the open to see which direction the market is going to head towards, right? So that's why we typically wait for the first 5 minutes to develop. And once we have the development of the first 5 minute activity, which is we mark the high and the low, now we're waiting for a break either above or below this zone to for a breakout, right? And then a retest back to that zone. Now you can see like buyers appear to be stepping in at the 5 minute low of 289.45. But as we're, waiting, seeing where the, which direction the market is going to choose, we were just kind of sitting there and just waiting, right? Eventually we did break below to the downside. Maybe if I speed it up just a little bit. So we came to the low. You can see we reached the low twice, and then we actually retested the pre-market low. And then look how we just all of a sudden, boom, just broke to the. So even if you tried to like, if you made an aggressive entry, you would have lost that trade. And look, buyers just stepped in aggressively, pushed the stock above the 5 minute high. And then, okay, we break above it. Are we going to continue? So then we wait for a retest. But during the retest, potentially we broke below the 5 minute high. And then we just kind of look up, peekaboo, above the 5 minute high again, break below, peekaboo above it again, then break below, and then we just kind of, you know what I mean? Just kind of um, like I said, we never made a new high. So after this point, we just kind of consolidated for the rest of the day. And that's what I mean, right? If we speed it up a little bit more. See, and this is what was happening for the majority of the stocks yesterday. So this is what I mean. We wait for a breakout above the 5 minute high or 5 minute low. We can also do this within the pre-market. So you can see we actually had a retest to the pre-market low, which is around 290 or 291. So we had this retest back to this level. We broke. So there was a scalping opportunity here, down to the lowest, the pre-market low, right? Because we had this retest to the pre-market low level, and then now we can catch a scalping opportunity to the 5 minute low, pricing zone, right? But we hit this and then quickly reversed. And that's the thing, like you would have had to get in, you would have had to get in and been right out, like as soon as you saw this up close candle, because the next one would have just started to wipe out your profits if you had held it for these two candles. So if you got in at this point, you would have made, let's see, from 290. So let's just say 291 to this close of this second candle, 291 to 290 basically, which is a little over a dollar. Um, a little over a dollar. So you would have had a dollar move if you waited for, let's say you didn't necessarily get back or exit off of this first up close candle, the green one, and then you waited to see what the second candle was going to do, because obviously we do have pullbacks. Um, but once you broke, here, if you held it, then this would have just, to the third candle, it would have just wiped out everything, all your entire gain, and you probably would have took like a slight loss. um but look at the strength of this candle, and this is what I mean by those reversals. So you could have been in waiting to see what happens. Okay, maybe we're going to come back to this, you know low, the up close candle, the open of this candle. So, right, we come here, and then if you set in, you're like, okay, maybe we're gonna, possibly continue, wait for continuation, but we didn't. Buyers stepped in aggressively, and this is a 289. So let's just say 290 to almost 292. So that's almost a $2 move in one candle. And this is what I mean. This is exactly what I mentioned in the pre-market yesterday. Is I said, you got to be patient, especially with stocks like Tesla, because it can do these quick reversals if you don't have enough confluences to help confirm the trade. First of all, higher time frame confirmation, because the higher time frame I showed you guys, we're in an uptrend. So at any point, buyers could step in aggressively and reverse the trend on you. And look at what happened. This is what this is what's labeled as a V-shaped recovery almost. So, but look how aggressive it was. This was an aggressive candle, and this was an aggressive candle. And then we had no down close candles until after we broke above the 5 minute high. So this was crazy and unexpected. And then we just never came back. We never picked a direction afterwards. So coming until today, yep, we can exit that, get out of there. Coming until today, same thing. We don't have too much activity. We do have some orange folder news coming in at 9. So we got, hour and a half until that breaks. And so now, looking at the pre-market, it looks like, is that a gap up? No, maybe a slight gap. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a gap here. Yeah, we got a little bit of a gap between where we closed and where we opened. So let's see. We we didn't close it yet. So I'm expecting, I'd like to see is a, quick, simple, from the open, come back and retest this zone, close the gap, and then see what the reaction is at this key level. If buyers will, step up aggressively and push the price back up, or we could continue heavy and break below this pre-market low of 295. Same thing as yesterday. If we do, I'd be checking for the retest back to this zone. Once we break below it, I'd be waiting for the retest back to this zone to see if we will continue heavy. Once we, uh, break back to that zone, this would present a scalping opportunity to this, to the opening low, right? So once we broke below the pre-market low and wait for the retest, this would give us a scalping opportunity back to this pricing zone. So I do expect us to close the gap, and after, once the market opens, but it just depends, right? News could break, anything could happen. So we just have to wait and see what the reaction will be off of this pricing zone and this price zone right here, 293, 87, 298. Sorry. Now, let's see, because we do have. Okay, so remember this was the pre-market high yesterday, 299.95. So we haven't even broke. We're not even close to this zone yet. So again, I'd be checking the reaction to see, let's say we start out um, aggressive with relative strength. Buyers just, push the stock above the pre-market low, and let's say we, kind of break above to this level here, but then, we reject off this key level back towards the pre-market high. This is what I'd be checking for too, right? The break and retest. So to see if we're going to, if buyers will continue to step in and push the price higher, or if we will, reject off this level and use this level as resistance. So I'll be checking to see whether we use it as support um, for continuation to the upside, or if we continue below and use it as resistance for continuation to the downside, right? So that's what I'd be looking for coming into today. So I don't really have a, um, like I said, I'm not really, because of the where the markets are right now. We still have to wait for QQQ and SPY to pick a direction. That's what we look for in terms of waiting for, being patient and waiting for A plus setups. So we just have to wait and see what develops. Like I said, we have that orange folder news breaking at 9 a.m. So we'll have to see what that looks like after the market opens. So the 30 minutes after the open, we have that news break, and then we'll see how that impacts the market. And if the market will choose that direction, is it going to stay heavy, or is it going to, continue towards the upside with relative strength? And then not only that, what we're looking for is um, how aggressively the buyers step in, right? When we talk about the formation of these candles, like I replayed for you before, this is what I'm referring to. Like, if there's continuation, do we have buyers aggressively stepping in like this? Okay, like you see here, and then pushing the price back higher again. So that's what I'll be coming into today, waiting to see. If we start out heavy but reject off of the pre-market high, that's, you know, that's probably gonna, that'll basically, remove a lot of confidence, because if we reject off this level and there's no direction in the market with Qs or SPY, then we might just continue to consolidate like we did for the rest of the day. Not really picking a direction, but staying within that 5 minute high and 5 minute low zone, because that's exactly what we did here. Had a slight breakout above it, but then after that, we stay within the range. So typically, I see that happening. If we don't pick a direction within the first 15 minutes, then typically we might end up ranging for the rest of the day. So that's what I'll be looking for coming into today. If we do, if my mentor decides to end early, like he did yesterday, then what I'll do is just continue to work on my scripts. Um, and hopefully I can get this completed soon. All right, y'all. So it's your man Ace. I'm gonna wrap up this session and let you know tomorrow. Tomorrow I won't actually be on because I have a couple of errands to run. So tomorrow I will not be on live for the pre-market session. Won't even be trading because I'll be out for the majority or the early part of the day. So I'll see you guys again on Thursday. So Thursday is when I'll pick up again. All right. So till next video. Well, I might have time to do a pre-market live. I don't know. For now, tentatively, I won't be on Wednesday, but I will pick up again, resume Thursday. All right, y'all. It's your man Ace. I'm out.